Hi, it's Hope and welcome to a video. It's been over 2 weeks since I filmed a video and almost 2 weeks since I uploaded a video. Here we are with my December TBR slash reading plans. I'm labeling it a TBR, but if it's anything like November, I'm only gonna read like 3 or 4 things that I mentioned in this video, because I did read a lot in November, spoilers for my wrap-up, but not a lot of it was actually what I said I was going to read in my TBR video. So yeah, let's see if I can read more of these. I'm participating in, I don't even know how many readathons actually, I didn't count. So I'll just go through kind of the readathons, what I'm reading for those. Actually, there's only one readathon that I'm taking part of that I actually have a TBR kind of planned out for. This is just going to be me being like, here's what I'm participating in or going to try. Here are books that I might read. I might not read a single book on this list. But yeah, so the first readathon I'm participating in is, well, one I am hosting. I am hosting Clitmas with my 2 wonderful friends, Morgan and Clint. I'll leave the announcement video down below, although it takes place the 2nd through the 4th, and this is going up on the 1st, so some of you might be watching it after it happens, but that I'm not making a TBR because it is just a readathon dedicated to reading smutty books, if you couldn't tell by the title of the readathon. But yeah, I have like a list of like 20 different books that I want to read, so we're not going to be going through all of those because more than likely I'll probably only read a handful of those. Or also, knowing me, somebody will say, oh, I'm reading this, and I'll go, now I have to read that so I can so like you can have somebody to talk to. I would bet you a book that might happen, or my TBR is going to grow during those live shows, like during the live sprints. I'm not going to think about that. I just had that thought and I'm like, no, we're not going to think about that. And then I'm also taking part in Merry Bookmas, which is one of seasonathons, like quarterly, like readathons. So obviously we're in the December or like the winter round. And this is hosted by Clint from Reed's Reader, who is also one of the co-hosts for Clitmas, Kaylani from Kaylani Simply Me, and Mel from Completely Melanie. I'll leave all their like announcement videos down below. Anything I mention, I'll leave announcement videos or information in the description. So yeah, and Merry Bookmas is just the entire month of December, and there is 12 prompts, I believe. So some of them I have books for, some of them I don't. We'll just kind of go through them, and I have everything on my laptop, so if you see me looking down there, it's because it's down there. So the first prompt is Sugar Cookies, which is read something sweet or a comfort read. I'm picking A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I absolutely love this book, so I'm kind of counting it as that like comfort read because I've been meaning to read this since October, I think. It was on my October TBR, it was on my November TBR. Maybe I'll actually get around to reading it in December. So yeah, this is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which is like a fantasy romance. I'm not really going to go into it because it's fairly popular, and also for a lot of these books I'm probably not going to explain much because that's just how this video is going to go. It's going to be chaotic, but this is the first book on my TBR. Fingers crossed I'll actually get to it. For Candy Canes, which is read a book with red and white on the cover, I don't have a book picked out, but probably something I read for Clitmas might work because I'm going to try to read holiday romances, so those are kind of holiday colors, so it might be on there. I don't know. Also, if I don't do all the prompts, I kind of don't care. For hot chocolate, read something that will make you hot, steamy, or angry. I'm going the steamy route, obviously. And for this, I'm reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. All I know is it's like a sports romance between a figure skater and a hockey player, and it's like, I think it's kind of like enemies to lovers. She's very grumpy, he's very sunshine, and just like, I've heard amazing things all over TikTok, and so I've been like, I want to read this, and I think I might be buddy reading this with a few friends. Not sure exactly when, but sometime in December. For Eggnog, which is read a book you're not sure about, Light Lark by Alex Astor. This is a copy borrowed from my library. I've heard so many bad things about it, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it. Honestly, this is one that I'm like, if I hate it and DNF it, I will be okay with that. I think my hold is due on the 11th, so I'll probably be reading this in the first week of the month. And I'm debating trying to do a reading vlog for it. I've kind of sucked with doing reading vlogs, so not gonna make promises, but I'm very skeptical, so definitely a book I'm not sure about. And this, all I know is like every 100 years there's this like island that shows up and people have to compete. Welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curse and win unparalleled power. So yeah, I've heard really mixed things, so we will see. For Gingerbread, read a book with 1 or more people on the cover. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. It works. You can double, triple, whatever up prompts. So I've already explained that. Yule Log Cake, a book with magic, Orillium and Fury. It's set in like a fantasy world. Magic happens. Yeah. Holiday Pudding, read a holiday book. It can be any holiday. I'm putting Melt for Us by Molly Doyle. This is a like novella set around Christmas and New Year's, and it's like a why choose romance. It's the kind of like the sequel to Scream for Us, and so, which I read in October, absolutely loved. And it's kind of just like a smutty holiday novella, and I know I'll be reading this for Clitmas because I've been having to tell myself every day for the last month, you can't read that, you're saving it for Clitmas. So it definitely will be read in December. For Sugar Plums, read a fairy tale, classic, or retelling. Technically, I could count A Court of Mist and Fury as a retelling because it's kind of a loose Hades and Persephone retelling. But for this, I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is a Peter Pan retelling. It's dark. It's like a really dark romance. I don't really know much about it. Beyond that, I kind of don't want to know anything about it beyond that, so that's all I'm going to explain. For Fruitcake, read a LGBTQ+ book. For this, I have King's Rising by C.S. Pacat. I am desperate to finish this goddamn series before the end of the year, hence why it's on my December TBR when it was also on my November TBR. But this is the 3rd book in the Captive Prince series, where you follow Prince Damon, who ends up being the slave to Prince Laurent for reasons, and it's like political war, like there's like a political war going on between the 2 countries, and then it's also kind of like, by the end of the 2nd book, kind of a romance forming between the 2 of them. And I need to read this before I forget how book 2 is, because the details are already starting to slip from my mind. So this is one that if I don't read before the end of the year, can somebody yell at me? I give people permission to yell at me if I don't finish this book before the end of the year. For Reindeer Chow, read a book with an animal on the cover or in the story. I don't think any of the books that I have an animal on the cover, so I'm not doing that. I'll probably try to find a book that works for it, but yeah. For Chestnuts, prepare your favorite holiday treat and post it on social media. That's not a reading prompt, it's more of like a do it. I'll make something when in doubt. It's the holiday season, I'll make some sort of treat that I normally do or something like that. And the final prompt is Popcorn Garland, which is read the group book or buddy read a book. The group book is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. So I'll be reading that, obviously. I've already talked about it, and I'm just really excited to read it. So yeah. The next readathon I'm doing is Lightfall at Old Favour Pass, which is the Orillium like winter readathon, which is hosted by G from Book Roast. I will again leave the announcement video down below. And this, all I know is it's a 10-day readathon in December. I can't remember the exact days off the top of my head, nor can I remember the prompts. I'm kind of just gonna mood read through it and just be like, hey, can I shove things in prompts? It's not like mandatory for the magical readathon, so I'm not super worried about it, but I'm like, my goal is to read at least like one book and I'm gonna like call it a win, so yeah. And then the final readathon that I'm participating in is the Witchathon Yule round, which takes place from the 18th to the 24th, and it is a readathon hosted by Sam from Yarn Reader. Announcement will be linked below. And this, I believe it's a bingo board of 9 prompts, and I don't remember the prompts off the top of my head. This is again one that I'm going to try to, like, the week of the readathon, shove books into the prompts or use them to kind of guide my reading for that week. I know this is kind of boring, but literally I'm like, I don't know what I want to read, really, so we'll kind of mood read that, and who knows, some of these books might fit those prompts. Again, I don't remember the prompts off the top of my head. I forgot to write them down. But yeah, and then I have 4 other books here that I want to read. So yeah, the first one is A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the second book in the Flesh and Fire series. The first book is actually right here, I can just grab it. A Shadow in the Ember. And in A Shadow in the Ember, basically we follow Sarah, who she has basically been destined to kill the Primal of Death by falling in love with him and then killing him to kind of fulfill this prophecy, not almost type thing, placed upon her at her birth. And it's her having to deal with all that shit, and then this is the sequel, so it's the continuation of that. I absolutely love Sarah and Nyktos. I'm so excited to read this. This came out like 2 weeks ago, and I'm surprised that I haven't read it. I blame that it took me 3 weeks to read this because I was in a fantasy slump. And now I'm like, will this get me out of that fantasy slump, or will I stay in that fantasy slump? I really hope I get out of that fantasy slump, because I'm realizing every single book on my physical TBR is fantasy. Why do I do this to myself? But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I honestly might be starting this tonight, which is the 30th when I'm filming, so I might start it the day before, but I will probably only get a couple chapters in, if any. Then I have Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kemmerer. I've been wanting to read this for forever, and my library hold finally came in a few days ago. This is the sequel to Defy the Night. So basically we're in this kind of kingdom where there's this illness that has been plaguing the kingdom, and we follow Tessa, who is an apothecary that is trying to make a cure to give to the poor people, because the medicine isn't given to the poor people. And then also there is her friend Wes, who's helping her, and then we also have the point of view of Prince Coric, right? I remembered that name, yes. Prince Coric, who is obviously the prince of the kingdom, and Tessa ends up getting caught doing what she was doing, and gets taken to the palace and has to work at the palace. And that's kind of the brief premise. Shockingly, I remember enough from reading Defy the Night last year to jump into Defend the Dawn, and honestly, I'm really excited to read this. Literally, I've been eyeing it since I got it from the library, so definitely will be read in December. And then the next book is An Incarnation of Shadow and Light by S.A. Christiansen. This I am actually in the middle of. I started it a few weeks ago. I actually received this book from the author to post a review, and I haven't gotten around to finishing the book yet. I feel awful about it. But this is a new adult fantasy where we are in this magical world where there are these, magic is very rare, and only people that are called incarnate have these abilities, and there's kind of 2 versions of it. There's the light and the dark, the sun, the moon, kind of that type of thing. And there are 4 people that have these abilities, and that's kind of all I really understand from this. This is very complex, but I really enjoyed what I was reading. So I need to continue with this. I mean, the text is big, so I don't understand why I haven't finished it. So, and then the final book is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I wanted to do a reread of both Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron before Chain of Thorns comes out at the end of January. So I kind of need to start that. This was a last minute decision, as in I grabbed it from my bookshelf 30 seconds before I started filming, deciding I wanted to add it to this TBR. So this is the, like, one of the many series in the, like, Shadowhunters universe. This, we follow the children of the characters in the Infernal Devices. And this is obviously the first book in the Last Hour series, where, like, this is set in, like, 1903 Edwardian London. We are following group of Shadowhunters, as there is this demon killing Shadowhunters, like, throughout the city. And yeah, that's all I got for describing this. So yeah, I'm so excited to jump back into this world. Originally, I thought my next Cassandra Clare book was actually going to be reading the Infernal Devices, but I guess I'm going to do the Last Hours and then jump back to the Infernal Devices for my reread of the entire series, because I fell off that bandwagon back in, like, April. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to reread this. And yeah, like, I'm realizing chunky, kind of chunky, like 400 some pages, honestly, like 350, so not that chunky. Like 600, like 400, I think. Yeah, like 400 pages, 600 pages. What am I doing to myself when I literally think I've only read 2 physical books in the month of November? What am I doing to myself? I guess we'll have to see how this goes, and I also really hope to be filming more. As I said at the beginning, I haven't filmed anything in 2 weeks. Let's hope it's not 2 weeks until I film my next video, which will be my wrap-up. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what readathons you are participating in, like in the month of December, or what's a book you're going to read. I'd love to hear that in the comments below, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!